Welcome to this Python tutorial. Today we are going to cover some Python basics, and the topics we are going to cover are Python and its uses, features of Python, running Python in command line, IDE we can use for Python, Python syntax, about Python variables, and the last Python comments. So let's start. So let's talk about Python. Python is an interpreted, object-oriented, high-level programming language. I will discuss about these terms in next few slides. And Python is a general-purpose coding language, which means that unlike HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, Python can be used for other types of programming and software development besides web development. Like it can be used with big data, it can be used with AI, ML also. Python is designed to be highly readable. It uses English keywords frequently, whereas other languages use punctuation. So it is easier comparative to other languages. Now, uses of Python. So Python is used for backend, web and mobile app development. Python is also used for desktop app and software development, processing big data and performing mathematical computations also. Python is also used to write scripts. So why to learn Python? Python is very simple and easy to learn, and Python also takes very less code, so it takes less time to develop and less money to spend. Python is utilized by world leaders like majority of IT companies like Google, Dropbox, Spotify, Instagram are using Python. So Instagram is using Django, one of the framework of Python. Python is also used with big data. So as you know, big data is the hottest job of 21st century. So it's very much in demand. Python is also good for job prospects. Nowadays in market, Python is very much in demand, and Python versus others like coding difference. So Python is very easy and it takes very less code to write, which I will show you in few next slides. So what are the key features of Python? So Python is an interpreted language. So interpreted language is a language in which we do not need to compile any file. We can directly run the program. So Perl and PHP are the interpreted language like Python, and the compile languages C and Java. They need to compile and convert the compile code into object, then we need to run it. Python is dynamically typed. It means you do not need to declare the type of the variable in Python. Python is also object-oriented language. It means it supports object-oriented concepts in which we use classes and objects. Python is interactive. It means you can sit at a Python prompt and interact with the interpreter directly to write your programs using IDE, which I will show you in next few slides. Python is a cross-platform language. It means you can write Python program on Windows OS and you can run it on Linux system without or very less changes in it. And Python is a general purpose language. Python finds its ways in various domains such as web application development, automation, data science, and machine learning, and more. Python is a beginner's language. As I said earlier, Python is very easy language for beginners, so it is very easy to use. Now let's talk about running Python in command line. So if we want to run Python through command line, we have two options, IDLE and Python. So if you will install Python in your system, you will get IDLE and Python command shell by default. So let me show you. First, we will open IDLE. Just go to system and type IDLE. Here you will get IDLE Python GUI. Yes. So this is the Python IDLE. Here you can write Python script. I'm just testing 5 plus 9, and yes, you got the output 14. So it adds both number. If I will use some Python function like print hello world, here it is, we got the response. So whenever we pass anything inside print function in a string, we will get in return that string. So yes, this IDLE is working. Now let me show you Python through command line. So just go to Windows, type CMD and open this command prompt. Here just write Python, and yes, you entered Python shell. Now in the same way you can also do addition here. 9 plus 10 is equal to 19, and we can also use print function here. So I'm just writing hello world again, and yes, and Python has so many libraries inbuilt installed in it. We can use that as well. So we can write import math is a library, so it is imported. If there is no error, it means it is imported successfully. Now we will use this now we will use square root function of math library. We will say math.sqrt, and we will pass the value whose square root we need. So math.sqrt 25, yes, we got 5.0. So this is how we run Python through command line. Okay, let's go to next slide. Editor or IDE for Python. So there are a number of editors for Python like PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, Sublime, Atom, Vim, and these are very good. It depends on your use, which you prefer. So I prefer PyCharm. I will show you PyCharm and Visual Studio Code right now. So let's see PyCharm first. So this is my PyCharm window. So IDEs are very important if you are working on a big project, because it will contain all the files and folders at one place and will make it easy for you to run any program or any project. So like this, I have so many Python projects here, and I can run any program at any time. So just for demo purpose, I have created this test file inside this test folder. Here it is, this test file, and if I want to run it, I can just right click on it and just click on run test. Here it will itself take the Python path and will run our file, and it has given the output hello world. So how easy it is, you just right click on it and say run test, and we have number of options like debug test, run test, and so many things in PyCharm. So it is very easy to run a program using PyCharm. If we were not using an IDE, what we'll do, we write a file and we go to command prompt, we write Python and the file name, then we run it.
I will tell you about Visual Studio in next few slides.
So I will create a separate video for PyCharm and Visual Studio Code for more details on it. So we discussed about the editors or IDE. Now Python syntax. So Python syntax is very easy, and you just need to write print hello world for its first program. But if you know about the Java, we have to create the classes, methods to print hello world itself. So it is very easy and in very short form.
I will also explain you about indentation in Python. So let's go to Visual Studio Code. Here I'm gonna show you an example of indentation in Python. So I will create an if condition. So if 2 is greater than 1, then it should print 2 is greater than 1. Let's run this program. Right click, run Python file in terminal, and here we got the output 2 is greater than 1. Let's remove this indentation. So this indentation takes 4 spaces, so I'm removing this indentation after if condition. Let's run this file. So it gave an error. So what is the error? Indentation error, expected an indented block. So after if else loop, we need indentation in for loop also. We will discuss it in later videos.
Okay, so what are Python variables? Let me show you an example.
So let's create a container, and this container has a value 10, and the name of the container is x. So the x has a 10 value, and this is the address of this container. So x is the variable which contains some value. So in mathematics also we do let x is equal to some value. It's like that.
So this is a variable x which is containing 10 value and it is an integer value. So the type of this x is integer. So let me show you an example. Delete this code. Let's say x is equal to 10. Let's just print the type of the x. Print type x. So let's see what we will get the output. Let me clear the console. So let me run this file. Yeah, it says class int. So the type of the x variable is int, integer. Okay. In the same way, if I will say y is equal to hello, and if I will print type by, let's run this program. It says class int for this 10 and class str, that is a string, for this hello. So we learn about Python variables.
So the last topic is Python comments. So comments are very important in a code or in a project, because after some times you forget for which purpose you have written that logic. So for your understanding as well, or if you want to share this code with someone else, he should be able to understand the logic behind the code. So that's why comments are very important.
Let me show you with example. So let's consider this file. So here I have not mentioned any comment. I should put comments like this: declaring variable comparing variables. And if you want to put some multiple line comments, for that we use triple quotes like this: 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. Here inside you can write multiple line comments. So multiple line comment example. So this commenting will not affect your program. Let me run this. Right click, run Python file in terminal, and yes, you got y is greater. So the comments are very useful for you to understand the code later. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Take care and bye bye.